Hello and welcome. My name is Todd Whalen. I'm a certified public accountant and a federally enrolled agent. For a living, I do battle with the IRS. I negotiate with IRS for people who've, made mistakes, got behind on their taxes, haven't filed in a long time, owe a lot more than they can pay, those kinds of things. And I've done that for decades now. That's been pretty much my entire career. And I have two companies. One is Advanced Tax Solutions. It's a CPA firm in Denver, Colorado. And the other is Do It Yourself IRS Help, DIY, IRShelp.com. And that's to help people with smaller problems or people who can't afford professional help. But I want to talk about different ways to fix problems, because some people are out there, and I was this way a long time ago. I had my day with IRS. I got sideways with them. I was in a divorce. I was going through a divorce, and the divorce actually ended up with this huge tax consequence to me, and I ended up in just this terrible situation. I had to pay her bills. I didn't have enough money to pay my bills, let alone the IRS. I'm sleeping in a truck. It was just this horrible ordeal for about 2 years, and I literally was living out of my truck and showering at a health club. Actually, not a health club, the community rec center at Washington Park for a couple of years. It was brutal. So I know what it's like. And then in the midst of all that, the IRS shows up, and oh my gosh, it's just a nightmare. Well, at that time, there were no rules. Things have changed so much in the last 30 years, and there was really nobody to talk to. And so I didn't know what solutions were available, and I was just getting beat up. And since then, I've had a lot of education, and now I have a whole lot of experience dealing with IRS. And so let me just tell you some tricks, some things to know, like how do you get out of trouble with IRS? Well, the first thing is, kind of a payment plan. And, there's different kinds. The first one they will allow, usually it's 120 days. If you just need a little time to cash in a stock or borrow the money against your house, you can get a 120-day delay, and they won't do collections. Right now, because of COVID, they've extended that to 180 days, so 6 months. And if you're going to full pay them and you have the means to borrow, sell, something like that, and you just need time, that's not a great solution, but it sure beats getting levied. Because that's what the IRS will do. They'll start taking your stuff. They'll take your bank account, and then they're going to take your wages. They'll garnish you. So that's a way. Then there's a couple different ways to set up payment plans. There are streamlined provisions, which, if you qualify, you can avoid all the financial onus, and that's based on how much you owe, how long you have to pay them, is an old tax, is a new tax, and how big is it? And depending on those, you either can do a streamline, which is very simple, or you have to submit financial information. But a payment plan is out there, and you can spread it out fairly easily, up to 72 months as a general rule. So, knowing about that is good. So a payment plan is definitely an option, and it can also help you avoid the IRS filing liens. And in certain circumstances, if the IRS has filed a lien, depending on the amount, you can do a certain kind of payment plan, a different kind of payment plan over a shorter period of time, 60 months rather than 72. The IRS will actually release the lien. So there's ways around liens and levies. A lien is when they're put it on your credit report, so you can't sell things without them getting paid. But a levy is them taking stuff, and there's a difference. So setting up a payment plan will stop both, which is great. So there's a payment plan. There's another thing. Let's say you're really upside down. You just can't pay the IRS. You don't have anything. You don't have the ability to, you're just living paycheck to paycheck, barely have money for food. Do there is a thing called uncollectible status, and that's very similar to look at it like a payment plan of zero. You still owe the money, and interest is still going, but they'll leave you alone. And so it's not ideal because the liability is still growing, but at least you're not getting levied, they're not taking your bank accounts, they're not garnishing your wages, and you can go on with your life until you get onto your feet. But know this, the IRS only has 10 years to collect. So sometimes an older tax, the best thing you can do is get uncollectible status, and then let the statute of collections expire, and then you don't owe it at all. One of the best solutions possible not owing the IRS anymore. That's perfect. So there's uncollectible status, and that ties in really well with looking at the statute of limitations on how long they have to collect, which is generally 10 years. It can be extended by a few things, but generally from the time you file a tax return, and you have to file. If you don't file, the statute never runs. But from the time you file a tax return, pretty much 10 years is all they have. And unless you do a tolling event, something that extends it. And that'll be a topic for another day. Maybe I'll do another blog on that. But that's really important information. So, but let's say that you don't have assets and the IRS has a long time to collect from you and you really don't have the money to pay them. You know, a third solution is filing an offer in compromise. An offer in compromise, they really do that. It's a settlement with IRS. You pay less than you owe, and it's based on your ability to pay. But you have to offer the value of your assets plus the value of your income stream. But your assets are adjusted, like there's certain exemptions from cash, like you get exempt $1,000 from cash. That's right in the directions. Another thing, though, not in the directions, is you can exempt 1 month's worth of living expenses in addition to. So let's say your living expenses are $6,000 a month, and then you have another exemption of $1,000, just like everybody likes in the directions. Well, that means you have $7,000 of cash that you can exempt from the IRS, but they don't tell you that. Once again, knowledge is important. And then to that, then you also get to reduce your assets. Like, let's say you have a house, you get to reduce that by 20%, plus you get to reduce it by any loans against the house. So you can actually have equity in your house and still not offer them anything for it. And yet do the same thing with your cars and all your assets. There's ways to handle your IRAs, your 401ks. 401ks may be exempt, but that doesn't tell you that in the IRS instructions. So again, you have to know what you're doing, but you can get your assets reduced quite a bit. And then you have to look at your income stream. And your income stream would be like how much do you make minus your household expenses, and whatever's left over, and there's some adjustments in there, but whatever's left over has a value. And that value times 12 or 24. So they value it with a multiplier. Let's say there's $100 a month leftover income. If you pay it off in 5 months, the multiplier is 12. If you pay it over 24 months, and those are the only two options, the multiplier is 24. So $100 a month times 500 a month, or $100 a month times 24, $2,400. The value of that plus the value of your assets, and that's how an offer is calculated. So there's different ways you can go about it with the IRS. So 1, do a full pay. 2, over 120 days or 180 days right now. Do a payment plan. There's a couple different ways to go about that. Streamlines or with financial information if the streamlined provisions don't work for you. 3, uncollectible status, great solution. 4, you can do an offer and compromise. And then there's a 5th, the statute of limitations. If you can wait out the statute of limitations, that's probably the best solution if it's an old tax. So all of those things are really important to know, and that gives you hope. If none of those work and you owe a lot of money, it's either dodge them, which is illegal, can't get in trouble for that, or file bankruptcy. So, look at those 5 solutions and see if there's any way that one of them fits your situation. So there are a couple options that we can do to help you if you need help. If you're kind of in over your head, there's 2 ways to do it, because you need knowledge. You really have to understand this stuff. If you don't understand it, you don't have a prayer. So the first way is you can hire that help. And so Advanced Tax Solutions, that's a Colorado-based CPA firm, and I'm a certified public accountant and a federally enrolled agent, and I'm also a certified, what is that? Isn't that funny? I'm licensed to practice before the tax court. I think it's called a USTPC, United States Tax Court Practitioner. So I have a lot of experience and simply dealing with IRS. That's what we do. And, the thing is, professional help does cost a bit, but we're here. We help hundreds of people every year. And we've helped God knows how many people over the last 10 years or 20 years. And as long as we've been doing this for decades, I couldn't even tell you how many people we've helped, but we've helped a tremendous amount. So that's one way. AdvancedTaxSolutions.com. Check them out. If we can help you, set up an appointment, we'll talk with you about it and see if we can give you a hand. The other way, for people who either have too small of a problem, like let's say you only owe $7,000, it just doesn't make sense to pay a CPA firm $5,000, right? It just doesn't make sense. Or let's just say you don't have any money. Even though you have a big problem, all the advice in the world is useless if you can't afford it. So the second business I have is the DIYIRShelp.com. DIY, do it yourself. DIYIRShelp.com. And that really is for people whose problems are either too small or they simply can't afford professional help. Professional help's always better, but if you can't afford it, this is for you. Because there's 3 modules. 1, payment plans. It'll teach you how to get the lowest legal amount in a payment plan. You can always pay more, but once you set up a payment plan, you can't pay less. If you do, it defaults your payment plan. Then you got to start all over, and you might find yourself in worse shape than before. So knowledge is really important, and this module in payment plans will give you the knowledge that you need. It's the same information I teach my staff. It's the same information that the American Society of IRS Problem Solvers teaches on IRS resolution. It's just how it's done. It's the knowledge you need. And then the other 2 modules are both offers and compromises. One is an offer and compromise module specific to wage earner. If you're a wage earner, it'll teach you how to do an offer based on wages and income and expenses. It'll teach you the pitfalls. It'll teach you if you qualify or not. And it's a great program if you don't have a business. The other one, this third module, is offer and compromise for small business owners. And so it's specific to you. It teaches you how to go through your income and expenses. Also, if you have a rental property, how to look at that and how to do it. And it goes through all the IRS directions. And again, it's taught with the same information that's taught in the academies that teach professionals how to do offers and compromises and all the tricks and trades. It's the same information that I teach my staff that we've been using for 20 years. It's ever changing, but as it changes, I update the video as well. So if I'm teaching my staff something, I'm teaching the same thing in the videos. Many of my staff have actually watched this video series to learn how to do an offer. That's the beginning. This is how it starts. And it kind of works this way. Like, if you have questions that you can't answer in this video program, then you probably do need professional help. My staff, they learn it through the same module. They learn how to do it. And if they have questions that they can't get answered, then they get professional help from a supervisor, such as myself. And so if you try it on your own, great. And if you win, I'd love a letter because it's going to change your life. But let's say that you can't do it. You have those questions, your situation's a little too complicated, and you're struggling. If you decide you need professional help, 2 things can happen. You can either use the webinar Wednesdays. If you email me a question by 2:00 on Tuesday, I will answer it via a podcast. So I'll give you a verbal analysis of how to proceed and try to help you out that way. If it's still you don't get it, you can actually hire in half-hour increments Advanced Tax Solutions. So the DIY people have access to buy a consulting half-hour from Advanced Tax Solutions. Now, let's say it's still way over your head. You're still not going to lose in that whatever you pay for this module, not any consulting afterwards, but whatever you pay for this module, let's say you paid $100, $200, whatever you paid, because it could be for the I think it's $89 for the payment plan module. It's around, I think it's $465 for the wage earner module, and then $697 for the offer and compromise business owner module. So whatever you paid, if you can't succeed, you can actually hire Advanced Tax Solutions, and we'll give you credit for whatever you paid for that module. So you really don't have anything to lose. You can always get professional help, and so you can always, if whatever retainer it costs to have us do it, you can apply that payment towards that retainer. So that's what I can do. I've spent my life helping people with IRS problems. That's my passion. It's all I do. It's all I do. It's what I enjoy. I love it when we win an offer case because, somebody's getting destroyed by the IRS. Their life is just hell. They can't sleep. Their emotional basket case is affecting their relationships. And then we give them a solution. They owe hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we settle it for something that it can afford to pay. And then it's forever over. It's gone. It's done. I get a lot of Christmas cards. It really makes me happy to help people. And so I've done what I could. There were many cases that I just couldn't help because the case was too small or was too expensive. And that's why I designed this do-it-yourself IRS help. And, to help more people that really can't afford a firm like Advanced Tax Solutions. So if this is you have two options: advancedtaxsolutions.com or DIYIRShelp.com. I hope to see you on the other side. I'd love to hear from you if something great happens. And, knowledge is what you need. And you can either read it and see the videos, or you can hire it and pay a larger retainer. So if we can help, we're really, really sincerely glad to do it. Good luck, and we'll see you on the side. Bye-bye.